Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through the NBA slate on Draftkings for today on Wednesday, November the 22nd. We have a massive slate tonight, guys, 14 game slate. This is our last slate before Thanksgiving. There are no NBA games on Thanksgiving, so I think that's probably one of the reasons you're seeing there be so many games today. But I'm going to try and give you guys kind of a quick breakdown of this 14-game slate. Since there are so many games, I am going to try and go somewhat quickly. Some games we'll spend a little bit more time on, and then some games we're just going to fly through. But yeah, guys, we're going to give a game-by-game breakdown, talk about each team and what stands out on the slate, taking a first look on Tuesday night. But as always, before we get started, if you guys do enjoy these DFS videos, and if they do help you out, make sure you hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys don't have an account over on PrizePicks, we are partnered up with PrizePicks. You guys can check out PrizePicks, linked down below in the description, or just when you sign up, make sure to use promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code. And for those of you that don't know what PrizePicks is, they are a player prop site. Really simple, really easy to use. You're just picking more or less on a player's projection. You can see right now they still have projections posted for Thursday's game, or for Tuesday's games. I am recording this video on Tuesday night. But if you check the board on Wednesday, even if you check it like late Tuesday night, you'll see props up for Wednesday. You can take a look at their board, see if there's anything that stands out to you. As always, I'll be sharing some plays I like for this big slate for Wednesday. I'll probably make a video later tonight, Tuesday night. So check out that video if you want to see some props I like for PrizePicks today. But if you guys don't have an account over on PrizePicks, again, sign up, use that promo code NOAH, and you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. But let's go ahead and talk through this massive slate for Wednesday. Again, guys, we're going to try and go through this quickly. I'm going to try and keep this video within like 25-30 minutes. So let's start off with the first game of the night, Washington and Charlotte. And this is definitely one of the most appealing games on the slate to target, right out of the gate. So on the Washington side, there's a lot to like here. Kyle Kuzma at 8,200, I definitely like in this matchup against Charlotte. Kuzma's minutes should be pretty secure here, I think, as long as the game stays competitive. Kuzma's minutes have been very volatile this season, but that's largely just been due to blowouts. The Wizards have been involved in so many blowouts. But if this game stays competitive, which it should, I think we'll get like 33, 34 minutes from Kuzma, and he should be very productive in this matchup. Charlotte plays fast. They don't play any defense, so definitely like Kuzma today. I like Jordan Poole a lot. I really haven't been on Jordan Poole much this season for DFS, but maybe, last game was what got him going. He took 26 shots last game, played 33 minutes, did have 34 Draftkings points. He did score 30 points, didn't do much else outside of that. But so far this season, Poole has been assisting a little bit. He's going to handle the ball. He's kind of a scoring-dependent player, but this is definitely a matchup where he should be able to get a lot of shots up, fast-paced game. Price tag at 6,300 is not that expensive for a guy like Jordan Poole, who still is a high-usage player that's going to take a lot of shots when he's on the floor. So I really like Jordan Poole today as well. And then even like Denny Avdia, Tyus Jones, I think are okay. Tyus Jones' minutes have not been great this season, but in this matchup, I wouldn't be surprised to see a good game from Tyus Jones. Denny Avdia's minutes have been relatively consistent. He should play around 30 minutes here. At 5,600, I think he's playable. And then Daniel Gafford I like a lot for value. So Daniel Gafford's only 4,200. This feels way too cheap for Gafford, especially in this favorable matchup against Charlotte, a team that has historically been really bad defending bigs. Gafford, I think when they played Charlotte earlier, he had 33 DK points in 30 minutes. And then this game where he played 13 minutes, he was in foul trouble. If we get like 30 minutes from Gafford at 4,200 against Charlotte, like he could absolutely blow this price tag out of the water. You look last slate, DraftKings might have just messed up here. They might have, I think they were supposed to make Gafford 5,200, and then just, I guess by accident, he's 4,200. Because you look at his price tag, 54, 55, 54, 54, 53, and now today he's just 4,200 in a great matchup. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think Gafford's a really good value play today. Don't like a ton, though, from the Wizards bench. I'm probably going to be avoiding bench guys on a massive slate like this. I think we're really going to be focused on starters for the most part. Maybe you could go to like a Bilal Coulibaly because he's been getting a lot of run off the bench, but I'm sticking to the starters, and definitely Kuzma, Poole, and Gafford I like a lot from the Wizards here. And then on the other side of this game with the Charlotte side, so LaMelo I think is in a great spot against this Wizards team that plays fast, that doesn't play any defense. I definitely like LaMelo as a pay-up option here. I think Miles Bridges is really appealing. His price tag shot way up to 7,200, but he did start last game and did play a ton of minutes. The game went to overtime, but even at the end of regulation, he had played 40 minutes. So I think we're going to get like 36, 38 minutes for Miles Bridges. And Miles Bridges is a player that can be productive when he's on the floor. I don't mind him here at 7,200. Mark Williams, I think, is in a really good matchup as well. The price tag on Mark Williams feels about right, but we've seen Mark Williams post a big ceiling this season. He doesn't have a ton of competition for minutes behind him with Nick Richards out right now, so I think Mark Williams is in play. Gordon Hayward, P.J. Washington, I'll pass on. P.J. Washington came off the bench last game, so I'm pretty much out on him. But then Brandon Miller, I do like as a cheaper option, 5,300. He's been starting lately, been playing pretty good minutes, and I think he's going to continue to start while Terry Rozier is out. His production's probably going to take a hit now that Miles Bridges is back, but if we're going to get like 34, 35 minutes from Brandon Miller in this matchup, in this game environment at only 5,300, I think he's a pretty good play as well. So there's a lot to like in this game. You are definitely going to want to have some exposure to this Washington-Charlotte game. Let's move on to the next one, though, Denver and Orlando. So for Denver today, I think for me, I'm really just looking at like Jokic, Gordon, and MPJ here. Jokic is definitely the guy that stands out most from Denver. Now, this matchup against Orlando is not great. Orlando's actually been really good defensively this season. This is not a spot that I love to target, but Jokic has just been on another level. Obviously, last game was an outlier because he got ejected, but if he doesn't get ejected again, we can expect Jokic to play like 35, 36 minutes. We know he's going to stuff the stat sheet when he's on the floor. I never have an issue paying up for Jokic. If there's a lot of value that opens up on this slate, I definitely think Jokic is a guy that I would be totally fine paying up for. Aaron Gordon and MPJ, I think their price tags are both playable, but on a 14-game slate, neither one stand out as like priority options. No other Nuggets look interesting to me. And on the other side of this game with Orlando, it's the second night of a back-to-back for Orlando. There's pretty much every team that played Tuesday. I'm pretty sure every team that played Tuesday plays again today, so there's a lot of teams on back-to-backs. Orlando on a back-to-back here, not a team I'm super interested in. This is a matchup against Denver that I don't really want to target. I don't see much that stands out here. This Orlando team on a 14-game slate is probably going to be a team I just kind of avoid today. So let's move on to the next game, Milwaukee and Boston. This should be a fun game for watchability, I should say, just because we got two good teams going up against each other. But I don't think it's going to be a game we want to get too heavily invested in for DFS. It's two teams that play relatively slow, two teams that are good defensively. Giannis is someone you can always pay up for, but I think at this price tag, he's not like a standout play to me, plus the matchup's not great. Damian Lillard is probable, so he's expected to play. We've seen the Bucks list guys as probable before, and then they get ruled out. I'm assuming Dame plays. Obviously, if Dame doesn't play, that would be great for Giannis, but expecting Dame to play, I don't see much that looks that great on Milwaukee here. This is another team I just think I'm probably going to be avoiding on this slate. Giannis and Dame are always playable in GBPs, but neither one stand out to me today. And on the other side with Boston, I don't see much I like on Boston here either. I think it is a pretty good matchup for the guards. Milwaukee defensively has been really bad against guards this season ever since they lost Jrue Holiday. It is a revenge game for Jrue Holiday as well, if you want to factor that in. I don't mind the spot for like Jaylen Brown and Jrue or Derek White, but again, at these price tags, like none of them really stand out today. I think when you factor in price, my favorite play from Boston would probably be Jaylen Brown. I think 7,500 for Jaylen Brown is solid, especially in a matchup like this against a team that can be beaten by guards. I think it's a pretty good spot for Jaylen Brown. I don't mind him at 7,500, but again, there's just not a ton that stands out on the Celtics here. I'll be watching this game, but I'm not going to be too heavily invested in this game for DFS purposes. So moving on to the next one, Brooklyn and Atlanta. This is a game that should be really good for DFS purposes. This should be a higher scoring game. Starting off on the Brooklyn side, I think Mikal Bridges is in a pretty good spot here. I think the price tag of $8K looks pretty reasonable. I don't think Bridges is like a standout play at that price tag, but he is definitely someone I have interest in today. Spencer Dinwiddie, I think at 6,800 is playable as well. Probably would rather get up to Bridges if I had to choose between one of those two guys, but I think Dinwiddie's fine. I really like Nick Claxton. I think Nick Claxton at 5,900 is way too cheap here. His minutes have not been great lately, but some of these games have been blowouts. I think one of these games he was in foul trouble as well. I'd assume in this spot, as long as he avoids foul trouble and the game is competitive, we should get around 30 minutes from Nick Claxton, and it's a good matchup. Atlanta's been beaten by bigs this season. They're giving up a lot of points in the paint, so I definitely like Claxton here at 5,900. I think he's my favorite play on Brooklyn. And the rest of the Nets, I'll probably pass on. Cameron Johnson, don't mind at 5,700. He's been playing pretty good minutes lately. He should continue to play big minutes, especially while there is no Ben Simmons and no Cam Thomas. But he feels priced about right at 5,700. Nothing else looks great on the Nets today. And on the other side with Atlanta, so Atlanta's on a back-to-back. We'll have to monitor their injury report. I think we can just assume everyone's playing for Atlanta. Trey at 9,200, I don't mind as a tournament play here. I think there's other guys I'd rather pay up for on this slate. Like I think I prefer LaMelo Ball if I could get up to LaMelo. I think I'd prefer getting up to Jokic, but Trey has big-time upside. It's a good matchup. It should be a fast-paced game. I think Trey is fine at 9,200. I think Capella at 5,800 looks okay as well. Capella's not a guy that I've played much in DFS this season just because he's not been playing a ton of minutes, but he typically will be productive when he's on the floor, and I think this is a decent matchup for him against Brooklyn. I don't mind Capella here. Not really interested in anyone else on Atlanta, though. It's mainly Trey, I think, that stands out the most from the Hawks today. So next game, Toronto and Indiana. Really good spot for these Toronto guys. Toronto, they are another team on a back-to-back, so we're going to have to monitor their injury report, make sure everyone's good to go. But if this team, if everyone's good to go here, I like a lot of these Raptors. Indiana's been one of the best matchups you can get this season. The Pacers play super fast. They haven't been good defensively at all. I think it's a really good spot for Scotty Barnes and for Pascal Siakam. I think both these guys are in play for GBPs at their price tags. Dennis Schroeder at $6,500, I'll probably pass on at that salary. Jakob Poeltl at $6K, I do like quite a bit. We know Poeltl is a guy that has a big ceiling. I think this is a really good matchup for Poeltl. The Pacers have been getting killed in the paint this season. They're allowing the most points in the paint. So if there was a spot for Poeltl to really do some damage, I think this is the matchup where he can do that. So I like Poeltl quite a bit. OG at 5,600 is okay, but not a guy that ever has a huge ceiling. Gary Trent's had some good games lately coming off the bench on a 14-game slate. I'll probably pass on Gary Trent. So it's really Barnes, Siakam, and Poeltl I like from the Raptors here. Definitely want some exposure to the Raptors, though, because it is such a good spot. And then on the other side with the Pacers, I don't see too much I like on the Pacers today. Will mention that they did change up their starting lineup on Tuesday. They started Buddy Hield over Benedict Mathurin, and they started Aaron Naismith over Obi Toppin. I don't know if they're going to do that again today, but if Buddy Hield starts again, he's only 5,200. I am recording this video at the time that Pacers-Hawks game is going on, so I don't really know exactly how Buddy Hield's doing on Tuesday. But if Buddy Hield does start again, I think at 5,200 he would be a decent value play. Shooting guard, small forward eligible. He'd be the one guy I think I'd have interest in from the Pacers. But the rest of the Pacers guys like Halliburton's always in play for GBPs, but I don't think this is a spot where I'm super interested in Halliburton. Don't think it's a spot where I'm super interested in Miles Turner either. But I did want to mention that Hield started Tuesday, and if he starts again, I kind of have some interest in him at 5,200. But that's it for that game. Let's move on to the next one, Miami and Cleveland. So for Miami today, I believe Bam Adebayo is probable. He's expected to play. Not a spot that I love here. Two teams that play good defense, two teams that play relatively slow. On the Miami side, look, you could always play Bam and Jimmy because they're just going to have big roles without Tyler Hero, but they both feel priced about right for this matchup against Cleveland. Duncan Robinson's been playing really well lately in the absence of Hero, but he's almost 6K now. I'll pass on Duncan at that price tag on a big slate like this. Nothing else looks great on Miami. Like Miami's, I think, is another team I'm probably just going to be avoiding today. And then on the other side with Cleveland. So Cleveland, we're going to have to monitor their injury report. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. They didn't have Donovan Mitchell or Karis LeVert on Tuesday night. We'll have to see if those guys play today. If Mitchell and LeVert are playing, I'm fine just full fading Cleveland here. Cleveland would be another team I'd be okay just getting away from. But if Mitchell and LeVert are both out again, then I think we could look to Darius Garland. We could look to Evan Mobley. Max Strus at 6,500, I think, be an okay play. Craig Porter Jr., I did actually play in my main lineup on Draftkings Tuesday after LeVert got ruled out. I think Craig Porter Jr. would be in play for value again if LeVert and Mitchell are both out. He'd probably be my favorite play on Cleveland when you factor in price tag. He's been really good from a permanent basis lately, and the minutes have been there. I think he did play a decent amount of first half minutes in their game Tuesday night. So yeah, I wanted to mention him for value if there is no Mitchell or LeVert. But if we assume Mitchell and LeVert are in, then I'm probably just going to full fade Cleveland here. So let's move on to the next game. Still got plenty more to go over. Clippers and Spurs. So for the Clippers today, another team I just don't like a ton. I mean, it's a good matchup here against San Antonio. San Antonio defensively, another team that's really struggled this season. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody from the Clippers does well here. Who's that going to be? I don't really know. Paul George, we've seen have some good games lately, even since James Harden arrived. And PG's taken on. He's had a big role still. I guess PG would be the guy I'd probably look to. Kawhi has really taken a back seat since Harden arrived. He only had one good game, and that was that game against Houston. Other than that, he's been pretty disappointing, since they acquired Harden. Probably would be okay passing on Kawhi here. Harden at 7,900, I think, is kind of interesting. Ever since they moved Westbrook to the bench, that has really helped Harden from a point per minute basis. He's been more productive with Westbrook coming off the bench than he was when Westbrook was starting. So at 7,900, I don't mind Harden here. If this game's competitive, he definitely has upside. These teams played last time, but it was a blowout, so you can't look too much into that. The rest of the Clippers, though, like Westbrook, Zubac, Powell, I'll pass on these guys. Nothing else stands out from the Clippers. And on the other side with the Spurs, I don't see too much I like on the Spurs here. Not the spot I want to be attacking. Spurs are a team that they get blown out a lot. They're just not the best team overall. Victor Wembanyama is obviously a super talented player with a lot of upside. But I don't know if this is the best spot for Wemby. He really struggled against the Clippers last time they played. I think you will get Wemby at very low ownership today. So if you want to play him in tournaments for the low ownership, you could do that. I'll be fine passing on him though. Keldon Johnson and Zach Collins, at their price tags, neither one stand out. Devin Vassell is questionable for today, so we'll have to see if he plays. If he comes back, that just makes everyone else look less appealing. I don't really like much on the Spurs here. I think I'm okay just kind of fading the Spurs on this slate and focusing on other teams. So let's move on to the next game, Chicago and OKC. So for Chicago today, I'm pretty sure LaVine and Caruso are both probable. LaVine's probable, and I think Caruso's probable as well. So they should have all their guys available for this game. This matchup against OKC, I think, is one that is beatable. OKC defensively has been, I want to say they've been pretty good this season, but OKC does play relatively fast. So I don't mind the spot here for Vooch, LaVine, or DeRozan. I don't think I would play multiple of these guys in one lineup on a 14-game slate, but if you want to pick one of the three between Vooch, LaVine, or DeRozan to play on the slate, I don't have an issue with that. I feel like all these guys are a little underpriced, even though they kind of have been disappointing this season. I think in terms of matchup, it's probably the best matchup for Vooch going up against Chet, who's kind of like a skinnier guy. Vooch could definitely take advantage of Chet in this matchup. I don't mind Vooch here at 7,400. LaVine and DeRozan, I think, are playable as well at their price tags. But the rest of the Bulls, I'll probably pass on. Caruso did start last game, but that didn't really result in much fantasy value. At 4,800 on a 14-game slate, I'm fine passing on Caruso here, even if he starts again. And on the other side with OKC, so OKC, they don't have Jalen Williams right now, which does open up more usage for SGA, Chet Holmgren, Josh Giddey. You look at last game, it was a massive blowout against the Blazers. It's hard to look too much into that. I mean, SGA only played 23 minutes. A lot of the starters didn't play many minutes at all. If this game's competitive against the Bulls, though, you should see the usage very condensed around SGA, Giddey, Dort, and Chet. So without Jalen Williams, I think these Thunder guys look a little bit more appealing than they normally would. If I had to pick one to play, I think SGA is probably my favorite at 9,700. Giddey, I think, is a guy that definitely gets a big boost without Jalen Williams. I think his minutes are more secure, but last game he wasn't great without Jalen Williams. At 7K, nobody's going to play Giddey today. I would be surprised if he gets any ownership. So, he's someone you can maybe target in tournaments. I don't mind Lou Dort for value. I think Lou Dort does get a little bit of a boost here as well without Jalen Williams. He's okay, an okay value. And then Cason Wallace did start last game in place of Jalen Williams, but it didn't really result in much fantasy upside, fantasy value. He hasn't really been a great per-minute producer this season, so I'd be fine just avoiding Cason Wallace, even though he'll probably start again. Definitely my favorite play on OKC today is SGA. But let's move on to the next game, Sacramento and New Orleans. So for Sacramento today, Keegan Murray is questionable. This is going to be some important injury news to monitor. If Murray is out, I don't know what they would do with the starting lineup. I'd assume they would start Kessler Edwards. I'm pretty sure Kessler Edwards started the second half in place of Murray last game. He maybe would be playable for value. I mean, he is the stone minimum 3K. I don't think we could really expect a ton of production from Kessler Edwards, but at 3K, I mean, it's hard for him to really kill you at that salary. Chris Duarte would probably be in line for more minutes if there was no Keegan Murray. Duarte's questionable as well, but maybe if Keegan Murray's out, we could look to a guy like Duarte. I don't think there'd be a ton that I would love from Sacramento, but at least did want to mention those guys as potential values. Now, if you're looking at the main guys for the Kings here, Sabonis and Fox, both these guys were very disappointing last game because it was just a massive blowout. I would expect these guys to bounce back. I would expect this game to be competitive. At 10-1, Sabonis is fine. Not a standout play on this slate, but he's playable. Fox at 9,400, I think, is playable as well. He was really disappointing in this matchup last time, but I'd expect a much better game from Fox here. Neither one of these guys look great on this slate, but I think they're at least viable. And again, that's pretty much it for Sacramento. Nothing else stands out here. Let's move on to the other side of this game now with the Pelicans. And for the Pelicans today, I think it's a decent spot here for these Pelicans guys, specifically Brandon Ingram and Zion. We know the usage is going to be very concentrated around those two guys without CJ McCollum. So in tournaments, you could definitely look to Ingram and Zion. Again, this is a spot where I don't think either one stand out at their price tags on a 14-game slate, but you're going to get them at very low ownership. I think Zion would probably be my favorite of the two. I think Zion just offers more upside. We started to see Zion kind of post a bigger ceiling lately. He started to have some good games lately. He's kind of been on a little bit of a roll. I think at 8,400, Zion's firmly in play here. The rest of the Pelicans, though, I'll pass on the rest of these guys on a 14-game slate. I think Zion's my favorite play overall from this team. Now, moving on to the next game, Philadelphia and Minnesota. So Philadelphia, they're on a back-to-back today. Definitely going to have to monitor their injury report. Joel Embiid is someone that typically is always questionable on a back-to-back. So I think there's a chance Embiid could maybe sit today. For now, we just kind of have to assume he's playing. Obviously, though, if Embiid sits on a back-to-back, that would greatly benefit Maxey, Harris, Melton. Paul Reed would become viable for value. Although DraftKings, they did bump up his price to $5K. It's not like we're getting much of a value here on Paul Reed. It looks like DraftKings kind of prepared for Embiid to be potentially out today because they bumped up the prices on a lot of these guys. I don't really like much on Philadelphia here, assuming everyone's in. If Embiid sits, then maybe we could go to these guys. But like you look at the price tags, like none of these guys are that cheap. Maxey at 9K would still be playable if there is no Embiid. I think Tobias Harris would be playable. I think Paul Reed at 5K I would still have some interest in. But for now, I'm kind of fine just passing on the Sixers here. And on the other side with Minnesota, another team I just don't have a ton of interest in. Anthony Edwards at 8,500 feels priced about right. Same with Cat, same with Gobert. I don't like much on the Timberwolves here. I do want to mention that Jaden McDaniels is out right now, so we'll have to see what the Timberwolves do with the starting lineup. I'm pretty sure last game NAW started the second half in place of Jaden McDaniels. So if NAW starts here at only 3,700, he's typically someone that will be productive when he's on the floor. Playing alongside Cat and Ant, you're not going to get great production from NAW, but he's only 3,700 on a slate where there's not a ton of standout value right now. I definitely think NAW is going to project as a pretty decent value play here if he does start again, which I'm assuming he will. So I did want to mention him. He's for sure my favorite play on the Timberwolves tonight. But that's it for that game. Let's move on to the next one, Memphis and Houston. So Memphis, they're super shorthanded right now. A lot of guys out, but the price tags have kind of been adjusted for that. Desmond Bane's going to have a huge role at 8,600. I think Bane is always someone you can consider in tournaments. Ball's going to be in his hands a ton. I don't think the matchup's that great, though. Houston's been really good defensively. They've really changed up their defense, and they've been much better defensively than they have in previous seasons. So I don't love the spot for Bane in general, but the usage is going to be great. Same with Triple J. He should have a massive role here. He continues to play big minutes on a nightly basis. You got to hope he stays out of foul trouble. That's always kind of the issue with Triple J. Santi Aldama's been starting lately, and he's actually been putting up some massive games. Had 28 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists last game. Look, Santi Aldama, when he starts and plays big minutes, he can really produce. So, I don't even want to say that he's out of play at 6,100. I know this is a price tag. It's hard to click Santi Aldama when he's 6,100, but this is a player that has shown the ability to be productive when he gets minutes. So, I don't mind Santi Aldama here. If he's going to continue to start and play this many minutes, I think he's definitely in play. Bismack Biyombo's been starting and playing big minutes as well. Last game was in foul trouble, but typically he plays around 30 minutes. At 5,600, feels priced about right, but still an okay option. And then Jacob Gilyard, I'm pretty sure, has still been starting lately. Or actually, it was Aldama that went and started over him. So, I don't think there's anything else that stands out on Memphis today. Who else have they been starting? I haven't been paying attention to Memphis because I think their recent game was on a Sunday. I'm guessing it was maybe it was Zaire Williams who moved back into the starting lineup. But either way, I think Aldama at 6,100 still looks okay. I think Desmond Bane looks okay. No core plays coming from Memphis, but definitely those top three guys I think are all viable options here. That's pretty much it for the Grizzlies, though. Or John Conchar, I think it was John Conchar. Yeah, he's the guy that I think's been starting lately. 4,200. If John Conchar continues to start, you could go there for value. But that's pretty much it for Memphis. Let's talk about the other side of this game now with Houston. And for the Rockets here, I don't like a ton on the Rockets today. The price tags of these guys, nobody really stands out at their salary, but Şengün, Van Vliet are always fine GBP plays. Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Dylan Brooks, I'll pass on these guys on a 14-game slate. None of the bench guys from Houston I'm targeting here, but Şengün and Van Vliet, they're fine. Neither one stand out, though. Next game, Utah and Portland. So Utah, they're on a back-to-back today. We'll have to monitor their injury report. It's a really good matchup here for these Utah guys going up against a Blazers team that is really bad defensively. I think, Lauri Markkanen's in a pretty good spot today. Price tag of 8,700 is reasonable. Doesn't make Markkanen stand out on this slate, but I think he's still viable because the matchup is so good. I think the same could be said for Jordan Clarkson. Matchup's really good for him as well. John Collins and Keontae George, none of these other guys look great at their price tags, but I don't mind going to Markkanen or Clarkson on this slate. And then on the other side of this game with Portland, so Malcolm Brogdon did wind up playing Tuesday. He was officially ruled in. So now that Brogdon's back for Portland, that just makes all these guys look unappealing. Skylar Mays went back to the bench. I'm pretty much fine fading Portland here. On a back-to-back, they could run a really deep rotation today. It's just not a team I want to be invested in on a 14-game slate. So no interest in me for Portland. Let's move on to the next game, Golden State and Phoenix. So for the Warriors today, I mean, there's some guys I think that are in play here for Golden State. This is a game that I think is, a big one going up against the Suns. I'm pretty sure this is a national TV game. Look, Steph always has big-time upside. I think at 9,300, he feels priced about right, but he's playable. Chris Paul has been starting lately, which does make him a little bit more appealing from a DFS perspective. He's been productive as a starter as well, and he's been playing big minutes. So I think Chris Paul 7,200 is still okay. A little bit of a revenge game for him if you want to factor that in. Klay Thompson finally did decent last game. Shot the ball pretty well, 7 for 16 from the field, 30 DraftKings points. Klay's been really underwhelming this season, but the price tag has started to really come down. He's down to 5,800 now. So I think at 5,800, Klay's okay to go to on this slate. Kevon Looney has been starting lately. Last game got in foul trouble, but if he's not in foul trouble, I think he'll play around 30 minutes. And I think this matchup against Phoenix is decent. Like, Phoenix, I want to say, has been giving up a lot of points in the paint this season. Nurkic defensively has not been great. So I don't mind Looney as a low-owned option. And like Andrew Wiggins, he's had some decent games lately. He started to look a little bit better. On a 14-game slate, though, I'll probably pass on Andrew Wiggins here. No standout plays coming from Golden State, but I think Curry, Paul, Klay, Looney, I think these guys are playable, but no standout plays from Golden State here. And on the Phoenix side, Phoenix, they're on the second night of a back-to-back. We'll have to monitor their injury report. If everyone's good to go for Phoenix, I don't really like much here. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are going to really dominate the usage on this team. They're going to have big roles without Bradley Beal, but the price tags have kind of reflect that. I mean, KD's 10-4, Booker is 9,900. Nurkic, Gordon, Allen, none of these guys look great at their salaries. If I was going to play any Suns, it would be either KD or Booker, but I'm fine just kind of avoiding the Suns today. And I think we got, one more game? Yeah, one more game, Dallas and the Lakers. So for Dallas today, if we're going to play any Mavericks on this slate, I think it's probably going to be Luka and or Kyrie, and that's really it. Luka at 11,800 is someone you can always pay up for. Now, on this slate, I think I would rather get up to Jokic over Luka, but I think Luka will come in with lesser ownership than Jokic, so that always makes Luka look appealing. Look, we know Luka, what he's going to do when he's on the floor. We know he's going to be super productive. I think the matchup against the Lakers is fine. I think this is a game that Luka probably gets up for against a big-time opponent. So, yeah, no issues with Luka. Kyrie at 8,400, I think it's okay too. Definitely would not play Luka and Kyrie together, but if you want to play one of the two, I think that's totally fine today. No other Dallas guys look appealing to me, though. And on the other side with the Lakers, so the Lakers are on the second night of a back-to-back. We'll definitely have to monitor their injury report. LeBron was questionable for Tuesday. That game has not started yet at the time I'm making this video, so we don't know yet if LeBron's playing Tuesday or not. If LeBron does play Tuesday, there's a chance he could sit this game on a back-to-back, but I feel like LeBron wants to play. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm assuming for now, though, that LeBron's playing, that AD's playing, even on a back-to-back. In terms of matchup, I think this is a really good matchup for AD. Dallas has been really vulnerable against bigs this season. Derek Lively has not been good defensively, so I think AD's in a pretty good spot here. I like AD quite a bit on this slate as a pay-up option. I think his ownership will be fairly low. I definitely have interest in him. You could obviously go to LeBron as well, assuming he plays, but I think I would prefer AD between the two. And the rest of the Lakers, I don't really have any interest in these guys unless by some chance like LeBron sits here on a back-to-back or something. Then Russell and Reeves will become more appealing. But for now, if LeBron and AD are both playing, I like AD the most of all the Lakers, and that's pretty much it. So that'll do it, guys, for this 14-game slate for Wednesday night. This should be a massive, it's a massive slate. It should be a lot of fun. A lot of pending injury news we're going to have to monitor. So many teams are on back-to-backs today, so there could be some guys that do get ruled out that could really change up the slate. But I do like to still give you guys these first looks and kind of just give my early thoughts on all these slates. But if you guys enjoy these DFS videos, make sure you hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button, again, if you have not yet. And be sure to go check out PrizePicks as well, guys. If you don't have an account over on PrizePicks, you can sign up for PrizePicks, linked down below in the description, or just use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But that's all that I got for tonight, guys. Good luck on the slate. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.